you think, we'll see, if Matt Gaetz has had a similar experience as far as um, getting locked out. If he tells the same story, yeah, good times. Uh, I'm very curious to see if that's there. Hold on one second, and then we go. I have to see something. Does that jump? Yeah. Beg your pardon. Okay, here we go. So this is them telling the story to Steve Bannon's
Let me ask
war
about
room.
this. I think you're a lawyer. Is that correct?
Oh, and this is didn't what's his name? Navarro, Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro is really going off the deep end. Like, he's seen the kind of money that Steve Bannon is making being a lunatic, and how much attention Mike Flynn is getting for, like, doing, the QAnon pledge and all that shit, and is just like, cha-ching.
You are a lawyer. So
Yeah, it says War Room behind them. This is Steve Bannon's show is called The War Room. And by War Room, by the way, he means a converted dining room in his DC condo. That's that kind of war room.
Yes. What do we know about is there been any charging documents of these folks? I mean, look, there was significant violence on Capitol Hill. We do not condone any of that.
Actually, she's not with you on that, Peter Navarro. She condones a good portion of it.
Correct. But at the same time, as I understand it, nobody in
Notice that Matt Gaetz said correct. Marge Greene did not.
jail has been charged with insurrection. Nobody's been really.
No, just assault on a police officer, violent trespassing, that kind of stuff.
Charged.
Now, the word insurrection is not necessary. He acts like you can rape someone in the Capitol grounds, but if you can't be charged with rape if you're not also charged with insurrection first.
With an offense that would be warranting essentially a no bail Guantanamo Bay type situation. Matt,
there is no no bail Guantanamo Bay type situation in any of these areas. They've all had bail hearings. They've all had opportunities. Any of the people at Guantanamo Bay who had a bail hearing, whatever the fuck that would be for them, that went, you know what, fuck you, I'm staying in here. As soon as I get out, I'm going to do worse. And they're like, oh, that's weird. I guess he wants to stay.
What do you know as a congressman, as a lawyer, about the status of these detainees?
Nothing.
Nearly enough. We sent a letter to the Attorney General asking for the array of charges and the basis for the deprivations in liberty for these particular people. And
the deprivations in liberty. I'll tell you what they are. They are a danger to the public at large. That's why. That's going to be the answer. Good night.
We are not here to prejudge any particular case or advocate.
No, you are here assuming that the judges involved in this process are somehow, finding this, are doing this politically just to keep. They literally refer to them as detainees. It's friggin' goofy.
For any particular detainee, our concern is for the American system of justice.
Yeah, that's why. The reason we care about the American system of justice, and that's why we, with just a phone call, showed up at a jail and wanted to meet with and talk with prisoners who were on our side of the aisle, who very well may at some point say about us that we were one of the reasons why they felt like they had the right to storm the Capitol, and we want to, put them on notice that won't fly.
Because what we know.
By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have the thumbs up. Venmo. We've had some really lovely Venmos lately, and so I thank you folks. I don't ever know for sure if people who do the Venmo want to get a shout out or anything like that. If you do, just put a little asterisk next to yours, and I don't mind giving you a shout out. But it always seems like something separate than the super chats and the like, and the bits and that kind of thing. Thank you, Shadow Woman, by the way, and Ninka Crinkles, and Joe DNS for the for gifting subs. Really lovely of you. Thank you.
Is the world is watching. And if the
The world is watching. No, dude, if I wasn't showing these clips, no one would give a fuck, man. We're only watching this for the moments you two are accidentally funny.
Biden administration just utilized its power to keep people locked up, maybe with incomplete charges, maybe with...
Oh, believe me, their charges are not incomplete. There are just more charges to come.
misdemeanor charges, well, then that justifies some of the worst actions of some of the worst despots in the world. We were hopeful.
Yeah. The worst despots in the world. You know, one of the worst things that they do, the worst actions that they do, is scoop up people who attacked their own capitals and put them in jail, feed them 3 times a day, give them access to legal counsel and a bail hearing, and then an actual trial by a jury, and then a sentence within the guidelines around the whatever crime they are charged with, and nothing more. You know, the worst of the worst.
To get answers, to review them, and to engage in a thoughtful process. The attorney...
If you wanted answers and you want to engage in a thoughtful process, you could do it from your fucking office. This is PR. Piss off. Thank you, Josie.
General of the United States would not allow us into the lobby at the Department of Justice.
Do the numbers for...
Yeah. Make an appointment.
Do we know how many people...
They're not allowing you to have a press conference in the lobby of the Department of Justice.
Or actually...
Over 500 people have been arrested.
500.
And it's unclear as to the status of how many are at this particular facility or elsewhere.
So, you just picked it because it was close, you lazy son of a bitch.
And how many of them were arrested in the possession of guns or other
We're
weapons?
unaware of any weapons charges.
And of the...
Yeah, a lot of the weapons that they had to get were came from the cops they assaulted.
Those people in there, what percentage of them do we know anything about were the most, let's say, the most violent, the ones that might have broken windows or...
He doesn't know shit.
Or acted aggressive?
He doesn't know. He just said he doesn't know. They don't know. They didn't bother to find out. And part of this, the reason is because unless you're on the goddamn committee, there's a way they can find out, by the way. There are members of their party that are on the oversight committee for the federal penitentiary system and all this other stuff, and the DOJ, and they could, request to speak to the DOJ, and they could have their, people in the Judiciary Committee, for example, talk to, they could submit questions to them to put to the DOJ and find out. And if there was something acute about this, like, oh my God, somebody's on hunger strike or something like that, then the committee will work on it faster instead of just, running around in circles for these jagoffs who attack the Capitol. They have umpteen ways of finding this information out that don't involve barging into places.
Because if you look at the videos of this, there were a lot of people inside the perimeter who appeared to be just
well,
walking
that's
around.
The point, Peter. You see, the point is, if we segregate out...
Yeah, those aren't the people getting charged or being sought by the FBI largely. They're being allowed to walk. You ask me, they all need to be have a federal... I don't know if there's technically a felony trespassing charge, but there goddamn well better be one.
The violent individuals and deal with those cases fairly in our criminal justice system, then we can move on
Thanks, V. Gabriel.
from this and work on important issues like confronting China.
Yeah.
But you see, they don't want to do that. What they...
Sorry, they're already confronting China. The administration is working on ways to confront China. They are directly confronting China. While you're dicking around walking into the lobby of a local federal jail that with no knowledge that anyone there is being even detained from the January 6th stuff, much less harmed or not treated properly. And you have a dozen different ways you could find out that don't involve you going someplace where you might actually affect the outcome of the trial of these people.
want to do is use January 6th as a
You want to use January 6th as a PR point?
Blood libel against the entire MAGA America First
How can
movement.
they,
That's right.
MTG, how can they keep this information from the American people? How do we not?
They don't. You have a judiciary committee that will look at stuff, and if there's anything untoward going on, it's fine, and they'll, when they deal with their funding and all that kind of stuff, it happens on a tri-yearly basis. The American people can find out all they want about it. But we're not going to live webcam the fucking prisons just because all of a sudden these assholes give a crap about who's in them because it's their buddies. Sorry, but at what point is anybody? I mean, are we just going to pretend the Manchurian Candidate movie doesn't exist and that people don't know shit about traitorous behavior? Period. And why we have rules in place since the Cold War about where you can go and why you can go there and who has clearance for what and stuff, and just pretend that doesn't apply anymore magically because we're all on fucking Facebook? Are you out of your goddamn mind? So in what world do you want the Paul Gosars of the world to sneak cyanide into prisons so that traitorous people can go, cut off one head, 2 more will come, Hail Hydra, for fuck's sake.
Oh, who's in there? How do we not know? I mean, how do we not know that?
I am appalled. It's like a 2-tier justice system, right? It's
No, it isn't. It's a 1-tier justice system.
where these January 6 defendants or Trump supporters can be detained and then
Hey, there's progress. She just admitted that the people who are in jail for violent acts from January 6th are Trump supporters. No backpedaling on that. Thanks, Marge.
they refuse to answer any questions. But for
Just gave name, rank, and MAGA number.
Antifa and BLM rioter,
My name is George Finkelnair, Tulsa, Oklahoma. MAGA number 777 Jesus Saves 69 Patriot. Shit, that's my parlor name. It's my MAGA number again. It's tattooed on my butt. Go look. Just look past the fentanyl.
it's catch and release. And there is no apologies, and they do not feel like they owe us any answers. And I'll tell you, my personal belief is this regime, this Biden regime,
This regime has these detainees. Listen to the fucking language on this. Holy shit.
it has gone so far left. They're not even an American party anymore. It's basically what we would see in like communist China.
Yeah, it's exactly like what we would see in communist China when, because everybody over there, if they stormed the government buildings and beat police officers, yeah, in China they would totally get a bail hearing and credit for time served once they are charged. Especially if they spit in a guard's face. They wouldn't at all be executed and have their family billed for the ammo.
Felt that way. It had that feel, Peter, when we were there in the
Oh, I understand how things feel, but facts don't care about your feelings. Hashtag fuck your feelings. Right? Right? Right, Matt? Right? What's this beta male bullshit?
folks reacted to us so viscerally.
How many of these people have lawyers of their own as opposed to public
As opposed to what?
defenders? And
As opposed to they have public defenders, do they? They have thanks Peter Navarro. Public defenders. Yeah, they would totally get those in China. Good point.
of those, are you able to talk to the lawyers? Would you be able to schedule visits? Are they under such fascist rule right now that they're literally
Yeah, totally fascist. It gets a little slowish later in the night.
you can't touch or reach them?
Those basic questions that you're asking constitute the questions that we have asked for months with no response. And so it's
What the fuck are you talking about? Look at their filings. Ask for the filing paper. Have your staff look it up. Their lawyers are on record. They've all had bail hearings. It says whether or not they have public defenders or whether they've hired their own people. This isn't... And no one at the jail's gonna know this shit? I don't know. They seem to have nice suits. I don't know what to tell you. What the fuck are you talking about?
frustrating to not be able to answer these questions for you. I'm on the damn Judiciary Committee, and I can't answer these
These are
questions
basic
for you.
questions.
Yeah, you could. You just don't care to because this is a publicity stunt.
Basic
Let's
questions.
be clear to
Oh,
the
we
American
were
people.
asking-
These are the most basic questions.
Yes.
Right,
We're asking,
exculpatory evidence.
What
due
did they do?
process.
What did they?
Exculpatory evidence. Yes. When are they going to release the footage of them? Like, I was really in the Oklahoma. And listen, my husband and I were burning the Tulsa, Oklahoma Capitol building. Okay, it's a reproduction. It's in the Taft Presidential Library. Okay.
Charged with.
But I think there's another explanation here for why they are deviating so greatly from normal standards. Because
Oh boy, here it comes. This is it. The big conspiracy. Let's hear it. Matt, he has the documents.
if you treat these people like anyone else that might have committed a federal misdemeanor, then you can't say that
These people didn't commit federal misdemeanors. The people who committed federal misdemeanors are being let go. The people who committed felonies or are accused of felonies, who have allegedly committed felonies on their own, that they live streamed on Facebook, you dope, those folks are in jail.
this is an ongoing national security threat. So I believe that there are people who under almost any other circumstance would be out on the road in recognizance, but to make a political point.
And we already have established your belief is based on nothing. You don't know.
Are behind bars right now because the Biden administration, the intelligence community, they want to turn these exquisite authorities in the national security apparatus inward to the American people, to hunt our people.
Either one of you.
To hunt our people. That's right. I mean, this was all a slippery slope from Timothy McVeigh. You know what I mean? Because that's when it was just an overreach. How dare they? How dare the FBI and the exquisite laws of intelligence gathering go after someone like Timothy McVeigh, a veteran of this country? Yeah, sure, he parked a fertilizer bomb in front of a preschool in the bottom of a government building and killed a bunch of kids and people, but he's an American, okay? He was an American first. Right up to the second, he set off the bomb. And then, as soon as he was caught, he's back to being an American. That's the Matt Gaetz rule.
What do we know about the people who aren't in jail right now, who should be, that might have been part of what looks to be some kind of entrapment or instigation? Are we
Entrapment or instigation. Yeah, that's the thing about Trump followers, is that they're so poor things. You know what I mean? Like, how are they supposed to know this was a big setup? They just went to the stairs like, oh my God, everyone's charging in. I should beat a cop too. Look at all the people dressed just like me that are beating cops. This is fun. I didn't realize we were beating cops today. This is fabulous. Oh my God, that wasn't a real MAGA supporter beating a cop. It was a BLM, it was a black man in whiteface wearing a MAGA hat. I got tricked.
Are you tracking that as Congress people?
I talked to a couple of people when we were in California. I went and visited the church that Tim Thompson has. That he was arrested, one of the pastors arrested in California during the shutdowns. And I met several people there, and they were telling me terrible stories. But they were just here in Washington, D.C., the two men. They were on Capitol grounds, but they did not go into the Capitol at all. The FBI raided their homes in the middle of the night. They took pictures of their daughters, one man's daughter's drawing of her holding an American flag that said, "I'm a patriotic American." They drug the other.
For the record, I'm going to need proof that it was his daughter's drawing. It is completely conceivable that this lunatic only works in, his main medium is crayon.
Man's wife out of the bed, handcuffed her. She was.
Well, it's not their fault she was in bed, and she should have been handcuffed already. I mean, what kind of patriot are you? You let your woman just lay in bed without handcuffs on? I mean,
she was in her night clothes. They took her out.
What? Working on her night clothes.
Outside, and the newspaper happened to be there and took pictures of her, and that ended up on the front page a newspaper, and she wasn't even in Washington, D.C. She was in California on January 6th.
Yeah, that would ruin her life.
And what Peter wants to know, though, is are there
how'd she look in her night clothes?
animating elements of the
Yes.
criminal conduct
Yes.
within our government, or manipulated by our government, or directed by our government?
And let me just refer you to
No, he doesn't mean that. Matt, that's not what he's talking about. He means that the followers of Donald Trump were baited into attacking the Capitol. They were tricked into building a gallows by Antifa, cleverly disguised as maggots who'd been at every Trump rally.
this issue that of Michigan, where we discovered that of the 18 people involved in the attempted kidnapping of Governor Whitmer there, 12 of them were FBI,
Including the main
informants.
architects.
Okay, so I mean that is to me that's the clearest case of Hoover-esque entrapment I've
Hoover-esque entrapment. Good.
ever seen. Now,
If I was a local prosecutor in Michigan,
yes.
I would indict the FBI under a RICO theory.
So the question is,
Under a RICO theory. Yeah, that works. Yeah. Yeah. To catch 6 dudes, it took 12 people because they had to make phone calls. They're like, yeah, this is my buddy Gary. He's part of it. He's going to help us. Cool. Is he on the phone right now? Yeah, he is. Like, for fuck's sake.
did that happen here?
Well,
We
the
need to
very
get the
Yes. 80% of the people who stormed the Capitol were FBI agents, cleverly disguised as cop-beating maggots.
On the
Hearing
January
that.
6th.
We're hearing
yeah,
that.
the very person who was running the field office in Michigan.
Yeah, apparently it was 12, PHKL. 12 out of the 18. Right, hold on one second. Let's see. Let's see. 12 FBI agents, Whitmer plot. I'm sure it's, we're going to find a bunch of, let's see. Let's see. No. Oh. Sorry. Let's see. I need to just to clarify. Who?
Entrapment I've ever seen. Now, we discovered that of the 18 people involved in the attempted kidnapping of Governor Whitmer there, 12 of them were FBI,
Including the main
informants.
architects.
Okay, so I mean that
Sorry. 12 of them were FBI informants. So basically, these assholes have no friends. There you go. FBI allegedly used at least 12 informants in the Michigan kidnapping case. Defense attorney said that they were induced or persuaded. The government employed at least a dozen confidential informants to infiltrate groups of armed extremists who allegedly plotted to kidnap the governor of Michigan. According to a new filing in federal court on Monday, the filing, made by one of the 5 defendants in the federal case, asked prosecutors to be ordered to share more information about those informants, their relationship with the FBI, so they can be killed before court, of course. Their relationship with the FBI and the specific roles they played in the case. It came along a blizzard of 15 new defense motions in the high-profile case. Let's see. According to a new filing in federal court on Monday. Okay. Taken together, the new court papers offered a glimpse of the evolving defense strategy in the case. Oh, so it wasn't... They allege up to 12. FBI allegedly used. I see. I thought we found out... Peter Navarro, I thought we found out that 12 of them were FBI informants and that they were... we found this out. Not that the suspects themselves have alleged that there were 12. All right. Taken together, the new court papers offer a glimpse of the evolving defense strategies in the case, with several attorneys saying that the plan to argue that the FBI induced or persuaded the men to go along with the scheme. The alleged plot to kidnap Whitmer made international headlines. The defendants, Barry Croft, Adam Fox, Daniel Harris, Caleb Franks, and Brandon Caserta had all pleaded not guilty and have been held without bail since their arrest. A 6th, Ty Garbin, pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate in the case in January. Now, does he count as one of the confidential informants or not so much? Okay, I see. 8 other men were charged under Michigan's anti-terrorism statute for providing material support to the plotters. Half of the defendants in the combined case were members of a militant group known as the Wolverine Watchmen, which is associated with the Three Percenters extremist movement. All but 2 are from the state of Michigan. Let's see. Although prosecutors have acknowledged using informants to build their case, the court file to this date has provided very little detail on their activities or identities, save for one informant. One informant. Who testified in March? According to attorney for Franks, the government has shared ID numbers linked to 12 confidential informants, but with one exception has not provided background on how they were recruited, what payments they may have received from the FBI, where they're based, or what their names are. Yeah, and how are we going to kill them between now and trial if you don't out them? I don't understand. So 12 informants, so 2 members of each family of each of the assholes who got arrested called in. They want the name and number of anybody who's called Crime Stoppers in the last 14 months. All right.
To me, that's the clearest case of Hoover-esque entrapment I've ever.
Yeah, but in all fairness, Peter Navarro, you're fucking dumb.
Seen now.
If I was a local prosecutor in Michigan,
yes,
I would indict the FBI.
If he was a local prosecutor in Michigan, there would have been a bunch of lawsuits by fathers of minor victims against the prosecutor's office in Michigan.
Under a RICO theory.
So the question,
A RICO theory. It's a great theory.
is did that happen here?
Well,
We
the
need to
very
get the
We're
bottom of
hearing
January 6th.
that.
No.
We're hearing
Yeah.
I'll just jump to the end. No, it didn't happen here. It did not. 12 out of 18 of every 18-person group on the Capitol that day was not FBI informants.
the very person who was running the field office in Michigan that oversaw that operation got a big promotion and ended up in Washington, D.C. at the
Yeah, because they caught a group of men who were planning to kidnap and murder a governor.
head shed. That's great reporting from Revolver News that people
Yes.
should check out. And so it wouldn't be unreasonable to say, gosh, the thing that got me the promotion, animating
Oh, thank you, Sarah, for the Venmo. Appreciate that.
criminal conduct within an organization, to be able to bring the full weight of the law against that organization, to see that replicated in some other way.
Are you two able?
Stupid, are you able to read? Are either of you able to operate a rotating door without getting your foot caught and chipping your teeth on the floor?
Do anything
Fondle? What word are you looking for, Peter?
formally with any kind of significant powers to conduct an alternative investigation of what happened in January 6th?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. They're gonna file the paperwork to become PIs, and they're gonna open their own branch of the female body inspectors.
Get to the bottom of this entrapment
Believe me, they're already at the bottom, Peter. It would be more of a challenge for them to get to the middle of anything.
issue, to get to the bottom of why these people are, many of them are in jail without bail, that likely should at least be released or charged.
We are not
They have been charged, and they're being held. The reasoning for why they're being held is public.
going to be able to utilize.
I'm not going to look it up because I don't care. I trust the justice system in this circumstance, and if I'm wrong later because one of them was made to stand in stress positions, I will feel very bad about it. In the meantime, this is all bullshit.
As the powers of the House of Representatives to do that, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is suing Nancy Pelosi. She is not just in the.
Yeah, it's totally going to work too. It's a good use of. I'm glad. We could be holding China accountable, I think was the phrase earlier. But I think it's important that you got to do this first. You have to sue the Speaker of the House of the United States of America about masks, I think, before you can ever hold China accountable.
Chamber, and so I think we may have to use the legal process. We may have to seek subpoena power in some way. We may have to even rely on some of our partners in the Senate.
I mean, like what? And so why haven't we done that? I mean,
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I'm only working with what I have in my head. That's it.
This town is ridiculous. It's broken. And the
Well, let's
reason why.
talk-
Well, yeah, you're proof of that, clearly. One of the ways it could improve is if people like you never got elected to office again. I mean, it is healing a little bit in that Peter Navarro no longer holds a position in any administration, and he is relegated to running Steve Bannon's podcast while Steve's away on, I guess, on yachts with Chinese billionaires.
About that.
Yeah,
Is-
but
is
here's what I want to
McCarthy
say.
on board on this?
No, here's what I want to say. We need to redefine Congress, and that
Yeah.
is exactly what we are doing. I don't
Yeah, we're going to tear down the whole system and build it up again exactly as it is, but with just less diversity. That's the problem.
care how it normally works here in Washington, D.C. I don't care how the House of Representatives normally runs. We're in unprecedented times where
No, we're not. We're in precedented times. This isn't World War II. A precedent was set largely by the Spanish flu, one would even say. And we're in a better position to deal with it than we were then. We've also been through Nixonian bullshit before. These aren't unprecedented times. 1812, anyone?
you're talking about the FBI befriending people and setting up crimes and possibly
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're befriending and setting up crimes.
that's what happened here at January 6th too. So I don't care.
Yes. Do you know how many FBI agents we would have to employ to befriend all the assholes that charged the Capitol and beat cops and smeared shit on the walls? I mean, how many do you need to talk you into that stuff? 3 apiece?
How it's normally done. I'm going to find other ways to do it, and that's exactly what we're
Let me ask
doing.
you guys.
Yeah. I recommend. I have a way that you might be able to do it. I have an idea. First of all, obviously Washington is the problem, so you should resign and leave immediately, and then you should form your own social media organization and overwhelm Facebook with your thrall us with your acumen.
You guys
Can't
have-
hide forever, Peter, because they got to show up and
You
give
have
testimony.
so much
That's right.
access to information. What do you guys know about what we knew before January 6th in law enforcement at the Pentagon that we did not act on? In other words, was this, as Steve says, was this an information failure or was it information warfare? Did we know, did the D.C. police, the Capitol Police,
Yeah, who was president when this shit happened? It's a good question.
did we know that something was going to happen and just didn't do it, or was it something else?
I don't know. That Christopher Miller memo is kind of fucked.
So, I mean, what do we know about that? Have we gotten to the bottom of that? What did we know and when did we know it?
Well, we
Yeah, I think it was probably Al Gore, right?
have been told that the intelligence was there, that there was going to be violence on January 6th.
Yes. Most intelligent people looked at the way Trump was talking and the assholes he was inviting to D.C. and going, yeah, this looks like shit. This looks violent.
Everyone knows about the pipe bombs on January 5th.
Yeah.
We also know that
Yeah, it's weird that there was no shift in policy about the National Guard from Christopher Miller from his memorandum on the 4th to the 5th after those bombs were found. So bombs were found near the Capitol, and yet Christopher Miller did not change his policy about the National Guard and making them available to D.C.
National Guard was
We always play with the trolls around here. They're adorable, and they help us by basically piggybacking us on their algorithm to other parts of the web we wouldn't be on, on the wider streams that are out there. It's good. It's good. I mean, they're harmless.
requested to be at the Capitol, and I was told personally by a Capitol police officer that there were 500 officers ready to come from the National Guard. They were ready to go.
Mm-hmm. And who had the right and the ability to write a memorandum that would keep them from being deployed?
They were never given the order to go to the Capitol, and
They were never given the order to. Where is the Capitol again? In the D.C. area, I think, somewhere in the area. I'm not great with maps.
that responsibility falls squarely on the Speaker of the House, and that's Nancy Pelosi.
Let me ask Matt.
There is that really difficult issue you have with the Christopher Miller memo. So that even if she did call up the National Guard, they would not have been able to have any materials to support them. They would have basically been there in short sleeves and socks and boxers, I think. That would have been it.